Hello everybody. I am going to show you a project today that we're going to be using coffee and tea. We are going to do some paper staining, and if you go back in history, they used to love to do this with tea. They would have white cloth and they would stain it with tea and it would have a really nice color to it. We're going to do the same kind of thing. I have already made a container of tea. I've let it already sit so it's nice and cool. You don't want to be using hot water, of course. And I also have some coffee that was left over, and so I have it in this container as well. I'm going to just take some regular white paper, just some regular, I have lined paper, and I have the regular like printer paper. And what I did was I took the paper and I just put it into the coffee. I literally just stuck it in there. If you want it to be super fun, you crumple it up first. Carefully. Don't get too rough with it because you don't want the paper to rip. But if you add some crumpling to it, when you open it up, the coffee will get stuck in these little lines. So let me show you how to do this. So I crumpled up my paper, and I'm going to take my coffee. Let me show you. Set it right here. I'm going to just place it inside very carefully like that so it gets all nice and wet, and then I'm just going to lift it. You want to kind of do it one more time, that's fine, but don't just leave it in there. Leaving it in there will only make the paper more weak, and we don't want it to rip. Once you have your paper out, you just want to place it onto a towel or some place where if it was drying, it wouldn't bother you too much. So I set it on my towel, and I want to show you what I have. I have already done a few to show you what I've done. This one is coffee. I love the way this looks. If you compare it to a white piece of paper, you can see there is a really big difference. This one's the coffee. This one is the tea, and I don't really know if you could tell on camera, but the coffee really does have a stronger tint to it, which I really like. So what are we going to do with these papers that we've stained? Well, I put them together like this. I took two of them, folded them in half, put them into each other. I make a cool little book. What about a journal? I could pretend I was in, I don't know, the early colonies, and I was a child, and I wanted to talk about what was going on in my life at that time. So I could create a journal. Have a nice little ribbon here. It's already ready to go. You can just add it in like this. How awesome would that be? Just tie it and write yourself a really cool little journal. You could, I don't know, you could do something really awesome. Also, you could take your lined paper. You can cut down on that margin line, and then let's just start painting. Let's paint with coffee. Now, when I say with coffee, though, I don't mean the coffee that I just stained with. I mean instant coffee. Instant coffee is really great for doing this project. So I took some of the instant coffee, and I put it already on my plate here, and I added some water to it. Let me show you. You see how it's a lot of different colors there. And as I'm mixing with my brush, you can see that there's a lot of different shades of this brown. So that is called value. So I have this really super dark one going into the middle, going into the lighter one. What's so great about that is I can actually paint with this. Let me show you. Let me show you how that works. So I'm going to take one of my papers, take my coffee stained one, and I'm just going to just go over with my kind of my darker color for a minute. Just going to kind of outline a little bit of a mountainscape. Just kind of go a little bit like that. Then you can kind of just work behind it like this. Like that. Maybe kind of go in and out a little bit. Maybe I could even add part in the middle. Just kind of show you this way. Maybe I want to have more of a foreground here, like that. Do you see how it's developing? Now I could use some of my lighter color, and I could add it towards the center. however you want to do it. You do not have to do a landscape. You can create whatever you'd like. Since it's fall, you could do a very cool leaf. Maybe you want to do a leaf design. Let me take another one of my papers. Maybe you want to take one of your coffee stained paper and create some kind of leaf. Just go up the center and we'll just kind of go out, bring it out, right? We're going to have some more in the center, the middle, this, and just work with it. You could really create something incredible. I'll show you what we did last time we worked with coffee. So this is what we did last year. We created this klimt tree, and you can see the process. We have all of these cool little swirly lines. Or you could do something like this. I did this with coffee, and I added a little bit more of color with some colored pencils. This is just colored pencils over the coffee. I created a board right here showing the different types of value that I was able to make with my coffee. And I think it kind of gives you a good idea of what you could do on your own. So here's another example. I just sat down with one of my papers, and I just kind of worked with my colors here. So I have one that is really dark, like that. Really dark, and the more paint I add, the darker it gets. I could go with something a little bit lighter, like that. You see that? And I could even go lighter. And adding water and less coffee will actually do that. So that gives you an idea of how you could create some value here. That's one of our elements of art, value. Going from light to dark with the same color. So obviously we're working with a coffee color, going from its darkest shade to its lighter shade. How are we doing that? We're just adding water. We're either increasing the amount of coffee grinds, or we're adding water or taking away water. So it's up to you. What are you going to create with your coffee stained or tea stained paper? What about a map? Wouldn't that be cool? You could have this old paper, like a pirate's map. I think that would be awesome. It's up to you. What are you going to do? I don't know. But while I was working, I thought I would make myself some tea. So have some fun, guys. Bye.